Guys, right then, move on to the Dragons and the Bulldogs. Again, when we posted up earlier, Dragons, one of the most improved teams of the last few rounds. They miss Jordan Pereira this week. Saab is their only change, 1-17, after Pereira decided for whatever reason just to go for a shoulder charge, which he'll miss 2 games for now. Coming up against a Bulldogs side that's, I mean, they're struggling. Again, they've chopped and changed their back line. Holland out of the 14 jersey into the centre. Meany goes to fullback. Wateni Zelezniak to the wing. I mean, full disclosure, I said to you last week when we were watching that Broncos Bulldogs game, Wateni Zelezniak doesn't play next week. And I think if Wateni Zelezniak's in a team with any more depth than the Bulldogs, he doesn't play this week because he wasn't there at fullback. So they've done the next best thing and they've moved him to the wing and put Nick Meany at fullback instead.
Yeah, it's. I just don't trust that. I don't trust the Dogs. I don't trust the Dogs at all. I've got the Dragons here pretty easily. Avarillo is a chance to come back, which would see Kerrod Holland, I think, drop out over Montoya. Montoya's probably been one of the Dogs' best. The Dragons, I am more than happy to say will be team number 8 in the finals if they keep playing the way they do, assuming that their team is relatively okay in terms of injury suspension, stuff like that. Dufty has been superb. No two ways about it. Dufty has been one of the premier fullbacks since being thrown back there. Zach Lomax. If it wasn't for the Morris brothers and Michael Jennings at the moment, I'd go on a limb and say that Lomax is the best centre in the league currently. He's definitely like it. He's in my top 4 for centres at the moment. Adam Clune, a running halfback, ran for 103 metres last week. A beautiful banana kick to set Norman up. Mate, for a dude who's in his first season at 27, he's an outside shot for Rookie of the Year for me. If he keeps going the way he is, granted, Harry Grant, but who cares? And that forward pack, they're not doing anything special. They're just doing their job. Like Laurie, doing really well. Hunt played great for his first 80-minute performance. Vaughan did his job. The Frizz and Sims crashing back into the middle off the inside run. McInnes, a solid first 80 hit out in the 13. Probably a little quiet in terms of running meters, just getting into the groove of a full 80 there. But then you have Marin Kerr, Fui Mayono, and Jackson Ford, who are just doing what they need to do. It's just a brilliant side to be watching these last couple of rounds. I am going slightly risky. I believe it's meant to rain on Saturday, which could see an interesting game down there in Wollongong. But I'm going Matt Dufty and Zach Lomax both to score anytime. Same game multi at 550. I'm confident enough to throw the 13 plus in there for the Dragons, which takes it out at $8. I'm going to throw a cheeky $5 on it. Just why not? But yeah, Lomax, Dufty, anytime. Dragons 13 plus at $8 to me represent some superb value against the Dragons team that can't really slide in defense. They're very leaky on the edges, and if the likes of Hunt or McInnes are able to get through on the middle, you're going to have Dufty screaming in on the inside.
Yeah. I'm working under a similar thought process to you. So Lomax comes up against Holland on the other side. So that means Ravalawa lines up against, he lines up against Wateni Zelezniak. So I'm going both of those two to score, Lomax and Ravalawa anytime. I see the Dragons potentially running this one out. I mean, the Bulldogs were beaten by 13 plus by a Broncos side that are struggling with injuries last week, whereas this is pretty much a first choice Dragons side. They've, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 absentees, there's not many players that you chop and change out of that side, and they're high on confidence right now as well. Hunt again starting at 9. There's been calls to revert him back to the 7 spot. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Like the Dragons are playing their best ball with him at 9, and so what if Hunt wants to play 7, but his best position is 9? It doesn't matter what he wants at that point. It's for the good of the team. For the good of the team right now is making sure that Ben Hunt has a 9 on his back and Cam McInnes has 13. That's the way that the Dragons should run for the foreseeable future. And if Ben Hunt then wants to go out and sound out his chances elsewhere, looking for a 7 shirt on his back, then so be it. But for 2020, mate, you're a 9. There's no two ways about it. And the Dragons are playing their best football that way. I mean, their forward pack absolutely thrives off it. Vaughan has been probably one of the best props in the comp for meter making. Just his work ethic as well. He's always in and around looking for it. Kerr, when he comes on, is just a huge body to try and handle. Running over people for fun last week. The Dragons just do. They have the stronger side, basically. I mean, the Bulldogs have dropped Brandon Wakeham to the reserves and put Lockie Lewis back in. And he was god-awful earlier this year. So maybe some time on the bench, some time in the reserves has helped him out, and he's come back a little better. But for me, the Bulldogs were playing at their best when they had Forum and Wakeham.
Yep.
I don't see why they've made that change. They're lucky to have Luke Thompson this week, as he went on report for a shoulder charge. Looks like nothing's come of that, so he'll be free to play at 13. But he's got to be careful this week. He didn't really impress too much. He got too emotionally invested in a battle with Tavita Pangai Jr. and it threw his game out. So he needs to focus on keeping his head this week. But yeah, I'm going Dragons on the 13 plus with Lomax and Ravalawa anytime.
Tell you what, mate, that could be juicy. That could be very juicy. I've kind of skipped ahead a little bit to look at the Bunnies and the Knights betting odds, but Ravalawa and Dufty with the Dragons 13 plus. That could bring in a little bit of money. 625. So now I should point this out. For the tips I give, I only put $5 on it. I'm a broke ass bitch. That's the best way to put it. So I only put a $5 on anything I suggest. Gamble responsibility if you do put anything on it at all. I also put a cheeky $1 just on every tip I give, just in case it comes off one week. Then I can say I have 4 zeros in the bank account for the first time in 5 years. But yeah, so $6.25 for you. That's not bad.